Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good evening, whatever the case might be when you're watching us. Welcome to this day on Monday. Here we are, the 28th of January, and we got a nice day out, but that's going to all change at the end of the week. I'll tell you about that in just a moment. On our show, John Frankel is here today, and he's going to be giving an update with Third Mutual. Quite a number of things he's going to talk about, including the fact that they're looking for 2 new board members to join their board. So we'll tell you about that and how to go about it. Also, 7-Day Dental, Dr. Chuck Lee and Dr. Christine Chung will be here. We're going to bring you a segment from Breastlink Radnet and also the Village Library. And you probably know the Village Library. Maybe you don't. You know, they have the ability now where you can review titles and search by reviews, and it's really cool. It's great, and good people over there. A couple meetings today. Third has their Architectural Control and Standards Committee in the boardroom at 9:30. Then at 1:30, United has their Governing Documents Review Committee in the Sycamore Room. Now let's get to the weather. And today, pretty much what we had yesterday. A little bit more clouds out there today that'll go away, and we'll have a nice kind of a low 70s degrees day, lots of sunshine. And as we go forward, we're going to start to see a little bit more clouds each day. Maybe a little bit tomorrow, more on Wednesday, and then on Thursday, we're looking at 30% chance of morning showers coming in. Now, they could come in late Wednesday night over into Thursday. Probably by Thursday afternoon, that'll go away. As we move forward, though, on Friday, this is beginning Friday, probably for us, I'm thinking more, at least at this point, we're talking about really late. 10, 11 o'clock or overnight into Saturday. We're looking for that to be a pretty good sized storm once again coming in. So, you know, I said we probably wouldn't see rain until February. Well, of course, Friday is February 1st. You know, we might get a little bit on Thursday, so I was off by a day. But we're going to get another probably good sized system Friday into Saturday and into Sunday morning. So once we get closer to that, you know, things can change. But that one looks like it could produce maybe about an inch of rain or so all for those few days put together. Let's look around the county today. And just nice, beautiful weather everywhere you go. As I said, a little bit of those morning clouds are out there. But everything is going to be pretty much in the mid-70s. Beaches will probably average about 70 or so. Big Bear up to 59. Palm Springs 81 and San Diego 73. Now I do want to give you a kind of a travel advisory for any of you that may be looking towards the next couple days or so going to the Midwest. They are having that huge cold front dropping in really today. And to tell you how cold it's going to be, in Chicago on Wednesday, they are looking at a high of like -10. That's their high. Their low is going to be like -20, 20, 24, 25, with a wind chill of possibly -40. So, and really throughout the Midwest, and it's going to start to move eastward. So obviously, if you have any plans going in through the Midwest and eastward, take a look at that, because more than likely, flights are going to be canceled, airports are going to be shut down, at least for you know, a day or several hours. So plan for that and kind of see what the airports are going to be doing. I'd start to look on Tuesday if you're planning. So keep that in mind. It's going to last a couple days out there. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Dental health is important, and it can be tough to find the best fit for your needs. Flora Stenger General and Specialty Dental Practice covers most of my dental needs in one location. Their on-staff specialists provide seamless services and communication between me, my doctors, and my insurance company. Located right down the road from Laguna Woods, our bus service stops right in front of their building. For the first time, I'm getting the dental care I need with the treatment I deserve. And my dental health has never been better. Call and book your first appointment today. I'm glad I did.
Your attention. Please, take down this number. Did you know that adults with untreated hearing loss experience a 30 to 40% faster decline in cognitive abilities and are more likely to develop dementia? Those with a mild hearing loss are 3 times more likely to have a history of falling. An annual hearing screening is urgent for memory care to help prevent cognitive decline and thus delay the onset of dementia. Free hearing checkups are now being offered free of charge. If you have not had an annual hearing exam, please take advantage of this free opportunity. If hearing loss is detected, hearing aids will be available to try for 10 days. Evaluations only take 30 minutes, but you must call for an appointment. Hearing screening is urgent for memory care. Please take preventive action. Call now.
Looking for a change of scenery? You don't have to play golf to enjoy all that 19 Restaurant and Lounge has to offer. From a delicious breakfast menu to our delectable lunch and dinner specials. At 19 Restaurant and Lounge, there is something for everyone. Relax with your friends and family and take in the beautiful view from our spacious patio. Or enjoy a cocktail and appetizer in our lounge. 19 Restaurant and Lounge is a great place to socialize, enjoy a meal, or simply take in the view. Join us 7 days a week and experience Laguna Woods' exclusive dining experience.
I just love that ring. Where'd you get it?
I got it at the jewelry box. I saw it on Facebook, and then I went in and bought it. They have the most unique, awesome pre-owned pieces for amazing prices.
The Jewelry Box of Lake Forest, voted best jewelry store in Orange County for 8 straight years, offering unmatched prices on fine jewelry and watches, refurbished to new condition.
Visit us in our store or shop our website for just arrived items.
The Jewelry Box. It's about trust.
We're okay. Hey, how you doing? John Franco is with me today from Third Mutual. And John, you've got a lot of different things to talk about today. And the first topic we're going to talk about is the makeup of the board, because you have someone new who who we've had on, John Pearlstone. But the board is looking for a couple other people to join them, right?
That's true. And first, I'd like to welcome John Pearlstone, and he has been on TV,
yes.
And he's got a very strong accounting background, and he's going to be a really solid contributing member. And
yeah,
we're
he's a nice guy.
We're very pleased with his energy and his apparent dedication.
Yes.
And there are 2 openings, and we would certainly encourage any resident who expresses an interest and would like to contribute. I've been on the board now 3 years, and it's a marvelous opportunity to be to help and contribute to the community. And I would recommend anyone who wants to put themselves in that position and has something to offer and is willing to get involved to please take the opportunity. The applications are due by February 13th. Go upstairs to the second floor, Catherine Laster, and she'll help you with the application.
All right, so people have just a little over 2 weeks
yes.
to get those in. Okay.
And the election is on February 2nd.
Okay.
So February 22nd.
All
I'm
right.
sorry. So February 13th is the final day.
All right, very good. Now you want to talk about landscape.
Yes. I mentioned the last time I was here that we're doing a slope fire mitigation in cooperation with the Orange County Fire Authority. The slope along my cul-de-sac has been completely barren and made barren. All of the bushes that have been taken out, and the acacia. And they use something called hydroseeding, and they
yes.
sprayed it, and it's very, very effective.
Yeah,
and it's growing nicely, and we're very pleased. And it appears that the fire mitigation and hydroseeding that has been done is effective throughout the.
Yeah, that works really well.
Okay, well, Roundup has been discussed here, and it's been discussed pretty much all over Third has decided and voted that our policy is we will not use it. But the alternative solution is not easy because it's Roundup's very effective, and it takes an organic herbicide to replace it, and it's 3-4 times
Yes.
more expensive because it takes 3 or 4 times the amount to accomplish the task. So we're going to do a 45-day test, and we hope that we've got 4 or 5 organic herbicides, and we think landscape thinks they've got a solution, but they have to test and find out.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an out-of-the-way site at Gate 11 where they do the test, and we'll probably be using it. United will probably adopt to it once we find that it's successful.
All right, very good. Now, ongoing turf reduction.
So there's an area at the, well, first off, if we reduce the turf, we can save water. And we go with a drought-tolerant plant system. So there's an area as you enter Gate 14 that we're going to remove a portion, or we're going to move some of the area, we're going to remove the grass and put in a drought-tolerant landscape. There was a test done at Gate 3, and if you go over to Gate 3, you can see the effective drought-tolerant landscape. It really looks good, and we'd like to create something like that. And there is water to be saved. That doesn't mean we're going to take out all the grass, because we're certainly not going to do that throughout the village. But there are places where we can do turf reduction, which makes sense.
All right, and I know was very good with this, and I know he's leaving the board, James Tung, but he's spent so much time looking at alternatives to turf, to grass, that from a distance still has the same look.
Oh, I forgot to mention, we're going to hire a consultant.
Yeah.
We have 3 or 4 consultants, and they're going to come up with proposals.
Yeah.
And they're going to do a landscape plan for this area at Gate 14. And we'll certainly communicate with all of the residents. And there won't be any surprises to anybody, and it'll be a very professional accomplishment, a very professional improvement.
All right, moving on to traffic and safety, and I know that you are on this committee, the traffic and maintenance construction as well, so got a couple different things to talk about.
I sit on the monthly hearings for traffic violations, and we had had about 30 of them that were heard last week. And one of them caught my eye, and I want to mention it to our residents. If you have a golf cart, please get the new golf cart decal. It turns out there was a new golf cart decal, and now it's being required.
Okay.
The notice was sent out last year, and people either didn't get the notice or haven't followed up. And now we had 15 violations of golf cart decals for the failure to have the new decal, and it is required.
And to get that, just come down here to the community center, and they can even put it on for you.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, very good.
Let me mention Code Red, and I'm sure it has been mentioned a half a dozen times, and I'll hold it up so that people can see it. It's very important that we have a means to communicate with our residents. And I don't know, we probably got 30, 40, maybe 50% so far. We need 100% of our residents.
Right, this is really a great idea.
And finally, the key file. A lot of you folks may not be aware, but it's important that all residents turn a key in. It's important for the resident in case of emergency, but it's also important for Laguna Woods Village in case there's a leak of some kind, in case you're out of town and there's a fire, there's mold. It's very important to have access in a security circumstance for, excuse me, for all residents to have their keys on file.
Yeah, very good idea. Now moving on to maintenance and construction.
So I also sit in executive hearings, and we had a half a dozen alterations that had been taken place, and folks hadn't gotten the permit. It's extremely important that every alteration be permitted. And please go down to Property Services and tell them, show them, give them a plan, what it is you're going to do, and get a permit. And some permits require city approvals also, and you'll be advised of that. And if you don't do that, you may be subject or will be subject to an executive hearing violation and a fine.
Okay.
So it's very, very important.
All right. And now chargeable services.
And I mentioned that before. Third Mutual is got their alternative to the handyman program, which United is using, and our alternative is chargeable services, and we've got a wide variety of chargeable services, and the costs for the services are here, and it's a complete wide variety of every possible thing that you can do, and rather than go out and get your own vendor. And that it's
and people can find this online as well. Right?
Absolutely, it's available online, and it includes carpentry, and electrical, plumbing, and HVAC, and many, many other services.
All right.
And finally, Shepherd's Crook has, that's that barbed wire alternative that we've placed on Ridge Route at Avenue de la Carlotta. And that project is now complete. It looks great. I did want to mention that there are circumstances where the barbed wire has deteriorated in other places along the village wall. And if we have to replace that barbed wire, the city is requiring that we continue to use the Shepherd's Crook.
Okay. All right. Then finally, the Energy Task Force.
We have completed the streetlight acquisition. Third Mutual has bought all of the streetlights in the Third Mutual area from Southern California Edison. And there will be several advantages to this streetlight acquisition. Third will maintain the lights, and one of the advantages, there'll be a significantly greater response. SCE has not been responsive in replacing light outages. And we've got a contract with Siemens, who is a consultant that also does field work, and they will have a 3-day responsiveness if there is a light out, so that's a very positive thing. There'll be no more charges. SCE charges us for service charges. So there'll be an immediate savings of $103,000 a year. And now we intend to convert all the lights to LED. And there'll be a savings in energy there. So we're going to do a pilot program with Siemens, who is our consultant. And they will provide some alternative light fixtures. We'll do a pilot and figure out which light fixture is optimum, best for us. And we're looking forward to a very improved street lighting circumstance.
All right.
And this pilot program will launch immediately.
Very good.
Thank you very much. And I might mention that we on the third board have been given the option to be on this TV series, and 2 or 3 of us have opted out, and I have been one of them, so I won't be coming back anymore and doing TV anymore.
All right.
Some folks really like it, and it's not necessarily one of my favorite things.
All right. Well, we like having you here. Good to see you. I know I'll see you around.
I've enjoyed it.
All right. You take care. Thank you, John, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Mind and Memory Program at Mission Hospital is an outpatient program specifically designed for patients with a memory disorder who have developed a mental health issue, such as depression, anxiety, or paranoia. Patients are welcome every day, Monday through Friday, up to 4 days a week. On-site meals and snacks are included, and transportation to and from the program is available. The program focuses on improvement in overall mood, function, and concentration, as well as a decrease in depression or anxiety. Call today to find out if you or your loved one qualifies for the Mind and Memory program.
The Santa Ana Zoo goes beyond animal attractions. They are committed to providing recreation and education while highlighting the message of conservation. I caught up with Lauren Berg, educational specialist, to learn about their education programs. We are in Exploration Outpost, and I've caught up with Lauren, who's going to tell us a little bit about the volunteer and education programs. So, very fun area that we're in, and you said this is where some of our educational programs happen, right?
Yes, this is actually one of the really popular places for our education programs, including our Zoo Explorer. We use a lot of volunteers. We would not be able to do our education programs without our volunteers, and they range in backgrounds, ages, and abilities. Our docent program and our interpreters are the main ones that help us with those programs, and we absolutely love retired teachers and other people who just love kids and animals and want to come share the zoo with that next generation.
So what are some of the requirements as a volunteer?
So we don't have any starting requirements. You don't need to have a background in education or a background with animals. We do all of the training. We just ask for a lot of enthusiasm. And of course, availability while the zoo is open, because most of our programs take place during the regular hours of 10 a.m. until noon, but we also have volunteer opportunities throughout the entire day from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m.
And what are some of the things that they would be doing?
Sure, so the very first requirements for our volunteers is attending an orientation. We have orientations on the first Saturday of even-numbered months, so every other month. And we have volunteers that help with education programs, leading students around the zoo and doing activities. We have volunteers in our farm, helping people interact safely with the goats and the sheep and our other ambassador animals. We even have volunteers that help out our animal services staff if they're looking for something more physical.
And if somebody wanted to participate as a volunteer, can they just go to your website?
Exactly. All of our information about volunteering is on santaanazoo.org. Under the support tab, they can click on volunteer at the zoo and find all of the information they need.
Okay, perfect. And then, you know, here we have this exploration point here. What are they going to find here?
So here at the Exploration Outpost, you're going to find our reptiles and amphibians. We get a lot of guests that are afraid of snakes, and we have two big, beautiful boa constrictors here at the zoo. And it's a great opportunity for people to kind of face their fears, and also for our volunteers to give some conservation messaging and help people get past those myths and realize that these animals are really important to our environment and have benefits for people as well.
The Santa Ana Zoo is located right off the 5 freeway off 1st Street on Chestnut Avenue in Santa Ana. Very simple to get to. The zoo is open 7 days a week from 10 to 4, closed major holidays. There is a senior rate, 60 years and over, of $9. Wheelchairs and electric scooters are available for rent. For more information, visit their website at www.santaanazoo.org.
Welcome back. I'm Kiana Lee. Today we're talking to Dr. Chuck Lee of 7-Day Dental. Today's topic is dental implants. Doctor, what do we need to know about dental implants?
Well, when you lose a tooth, you lose bone. With a dental implant, it maintains your bone, and it's an easy procedure. We are open 7 days a week, 365 days a year for all your dental needs.
Thank you, doctor. So come on in and get your 7-Day Dental smile.
And welcome back. With you right now from 7-Day Dental is Dr. Christine Chung and Dr. Chuck Lee. You just saw that spot with their beautiful daughter, and she does a great job. I mean, she's a natural.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Welcome back. Happy New Year, since I haven't seen you. And one of the things that you wanted to talk about today, one of the main topics, is what happens if somebody has some emergency situation and how to take care of that. And you know, as you were saying, nothing's worse than having this pain, this tooth pain or whatever it might be, a crown break, whatever, and what can you do? You can't eat, you can't do this, right?
Yeah, so Dr. Lee can go over some of the emergencies.
Well,
I wanted to stress that dental emergency, we grew our practice the last 29 years by handling dental emergency and doing it promptly. That means our promise to our patient is we've been open the last 12 years, 365 days. So we are available every day of the year to take care of emergency, because we know patients, when they have emergency, that's mainly why people go to the dentist. Not because of maintenance, but a lot of times it's emergency. But we want to make sure we take care of it, because sometimes if you have a swelling that you wait too long, it can get worse. It can be life-threatening. So that's why one of our offices is always open 365 days. Christmas, Thanksgiving, anytime. So the first thing that a lot of people have come to emergency is accident, like a false tooth, where the tooth comes out.
Right.
What should we do? My recommendation to all patients is, one, you got to be careful how you hold it, but you want to hold the top part of the tooth, not the root, because you don't want to damage the surrounding tissue of the root. So just wash it lightly with water and put in milk.
Put it in milk?
Yes. Milk is the perfect medium for your tooth to be placed in.
Because of the calcium?
I'm not sure all the details, but they've always recommended milk. Milk is the best, or even water.
Yeah.
But it's very important is try to find the tooth. I've had a daughter recently of a patient and fell at the park, and they weren't able to find the tooth. Even if the tooth is broken, we can fix it.
Okay.
You know.
Interesting.
But the key is now you're on a time clock. Normally we want to place that tooth back within the next 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
Okay. Ideally the first hour, but we've tried up to 12. But 2 or 3 days later, that's not going to work.
I didn't even know you could do that. I didn't know you could replace a tooth and it would
you
grow or attach itself in.
So usually what I usually do is when the patient comes in, I'll ask them when the accident occurred.
Yeah.
And then if it's been too long, that's going to be a conversation where we discuss the risk of what the success rate. But if we place it in and we're able to put it in the first 3 to 4 hours, I think the success rate's pretty good. I would say over 85%. Now, baby tooth we do not put in.
No,
we don't put in, but it's hard for parents to know which tooth is baby, which tooth is permanent. So my recommendation is just put everything, wash it, and put everything in milk.
Okay.
Or better yet, just put in milk. Don't want to have to wash it if you're confused.
You know, the hard thing with parents and baby teeth is when your daughter loses like 3 in 2 weeks and you're looking into your wallet going, tooth fairy, tooth fairy, tooth fairy. That's the hardest part. But yeah, I never heard that about the milk, and that's
all right. That's a very popular one.
Yeah.
You want to go over the cracked tooth?
Yeah, and another emergency, dental emergency involves cracked tooth. So if your tooth is cracked, even if it falls out, you might want to save and bring it in. Call us as soon as it happens. Like the timing of emergency is so crucial.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. We can do just a simple bonding or a crown, but we wanted to prevent going to a root canal or a major dental treatment if you wait longer.
Okay.
Yeah. Or even your gum got swollen, call us. The thing that you do prior to coming, you always hear that people rinse out with salt water, warm salt water, because you might have an infection in your mouth and your mouth becomes very acidic. So if you rinse with salt water, you bring the acidic environment down to a neutral pH. So you can neutralize your mouth environment, and that would bring down the infection. So prior to coming in, you can do something like that, rinse with salt water or even some kind of mouthwash. It would help.
Okay, that's a good point. But you know, as you're saying, even if you're unsure, if you got that tooth or piece of tooth, take care of it and bring it in. I mean, you know, be on the safe side. It doesn't hurt.
Right.
With the new technology of bonding, how we're able to join teeth together, I have done where a patient broke their front tooth, and I'm able to put their own tooth back and bond it and kind of join it together.
Wow.
And you will not believe how natural and beautiful that is.
How long does it last?
Well, usually people have to be cautious after that.
Right,
you know?
right.
And a lot of parents have to realize that a lot of kids now, the reason they break their teeth is because they're accident-prone teeth. For example, their two front teeth, instead of being coupled by the lower teeth, they're sticking out.
Okay.
So when you fall, they crack the top tooth. So what we usually do, we'll fix the bonding, and then we'll get our children, those children, to see an orthodontist to correct the bite and get the bite to be more, a better bite.
Yeah, and let me ask you that. Do you do pediatric dentistry?
Yes, we do.
You do. Okay,
Yes.
I wasn't sure. And a lot of people here, they have great grandkids, and things like that, and with all your different locations. Let's talk about those locations, because, as you said, 7-Day Dental, if you have an emergency, obviously people are going to go to the one here in Laguna Woods, right across the way here. That's going to be their main one to go to. I guess it's technically Laguna Hills, but it's right here. But your other locations, in case they need to go there,
Yes.
where are they?
So we have one office in Ladera Ranch. So from here to there, it's about 10 minutes.
Right.
And the other two offices are in Anaheim. And from here to Anaheim, without traffic, it's about 20 to 20 minutes. With traffic, about 30 minutes. So because both offices in Anaheim are right next to the freeway, so it's fast.
Okay.
When you compare, driving wise. And so usually one of our Anaheim office, our Euclid office in Anaheim, is open every day. And we're open from early morning 9 till 8.
Oh,
so,
wow, okay.
And I know a lot of patients, I've had pain before, and when you can help a patient in pain, they are really appreciative.
Yeah.
Because it's no fun to be in pain.
No. All right, that's good to know.
Yeah,
and
so just call us
like
and
that.
we will direct you to where you should go. And sometimes they can't drive that far. I'm willing to come in. I would come in, open the office, and would be able to see and treat the patients.
All right, very good. And the local number there is on the screen, 859-3988, 7daydental.com. And I like, what you said, you lose a tooth or chip or something, be on the safe side. Bring it in with you.
Right.
If it can be used, that's fantastic. But either way, you might as well. Yeah.
Do we have time for one more tip?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Sensitive tooth. So I always give patient tip is when you go to the dentist, find exactly which tooth is hurting, because sometimes I've had patient come in, it's not this tooth, it's this tooth. So if you have a sensitive tooth, find out which tooth is sensitive.
Right.
So what I recommend patients do is get some Q-tips, dip it in water, and put it in your freezer.
Okay.
Then stand in front of the mirror and then test it. After it freezes, put it on the tooth and find out exactly which tooth it is. And then even after that, get a permanent marker, a red one, or something, put a dot on it so that at least you remember.
Yeah.
Or because a lot of time is when you come in with pain, we want to make sure we assimilate exactly which tooth is hurting, because the last thing we want to do is to treat the wrong tooth.
Good tip.
And I'll tell you, because we've been doing this the last 29 years, so our dentists are very good at emergency dentistry. Because first of all, we have multiple doctors that can treat anything, for example, root canal, extraction, anything. But because we see so many, we're like the expert in emergency.
Yeah.
It's like we're like emergency doctors, in the hospitals, but we're in the dental office. So I think that's a really cool and a neat field, because you got to, first of all, you got to be able to diagnose quickly and diagnose the right tooth.
Right. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
All right. You take care, and we'll be right back.
It's LA Carpet.
Now during their 2-day sale, visit their showroom now and get 65% off wood flooring, laminate, and waterproof flooring.
Plus, get 5-year, 0% financing.
Carpet, #1 for you.
Dr. Patrick Allure, who is here with RadNet, and we're going to be talking about lung screening CT. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So, lung cancer screening, tell me a little bit about what's involved with that particular process.
Sure. For lung cancer screening at RadNet, we use a CT scanner to take hundreds of images through the lungs, looking for small lung nodules. And for those of you watching that don't know, a lung nodule is a small bump in the lungs that could be a benign finding, or in other words, not worrisome, but it could also be a precursor to lung cancer.
Wow, so now what are those nodules made of?
The nodules they could be made of cancer cells, or they could be made of old infectious areas and scars in the lungs. And what we're really worried about is that they're made of cancer cells.
Okay, all right. So now how did you get involved with this? I know we were going to kind of start out with that, but so, you know, you said that you had a relative that was diagnosed with lung cancer, but that was after you had already gotten into this. Tell me a little bit about how that happened.
Sure. Well, my grandmother was a long-term smoker, and she did develop lung nodules, which turned out over a period of time to be lung cancer, and she did pass away from that.
Okay.
So although I was already doing this, I studied at UCSF, body imaging, abdominal imaging, and some cancer imaging, and that's what I do with RadNet now. When I do look at these scans, it does fall close to home because I've had relatives who've had lung nodules and have passed away from lung nodules or lung cancer.
Right, okay. So medical director of body imaging, and you just kind of gave us a little bit of an idea of what that is, but body imaging from head to toe, or how does that work?
Yeah, so body imaging basically is talking about the chest, abdomen, and pelvis, and the imaging of pathologies or diseases that are related to those body parts. And it would not include the extremities, which would be more of a musculoskeletal imager, or the brain and spine, which would be a neuroimager or a neuroradiologist. Okay,
so then you went from doing that to specifically lung cancer screening, or do you do all of it still?
I do all of it still, but I'm focused pretty heavily on lung cancer screening.
Okay. All right, let's kind of jump into who needs to be screened for lung cancer.
Okay, so patients that are at high risk for lung cancer are the ones that should really be screened, and that's specifically patients that have a long-term history of smoking.
Okay.
And you know, long-term is defined by Medicare as 30 pack years of smoking. So that could mean 1 pack a day for 30 years, or that could mean 2 packs a day for 15 years, and you know, you can do the math. But basically a long-term history of smoking. The patients could be former smokers or previous smokers, and they must be between the ages of 55 and 80 years old.
Oh, okay. Now, would you agree with all of those parameters?
Well, I understand that when you're dealing with a whole population of people, that's probably going to be the most efficient way and cost-effective way for our nation to screen for and treat lung cancer. But say if you had a patient who and you know, if you were a primary care doctor and you had a patient who was maybe 50 and said, well, I've smoked, you know, since I was 14 years old, and you might still want the patient to get the lung cancer screening CT. Now, health insurance might not cover it, but they can still pay out of pocket.
Okay. Okay, so I'm wondering if, after all of the studies that you've done so far and some of the new findings that are coming out today, do you think that they might change those parameters, especially if somebody smoked less?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, right now, if you have a negative test, it's recommended that you get the test every year from the age of 55 to 80. Now, I feel like as time goes by, when more data is collected, that recommendation of getting a test every year, even if it's negative, might become less frequent.
I see.
But that's a good point. But there's just not enough data right now.
Right. And then, so you said maybe every year for some of those people.
Correct.
Right,
so even if you're negative every year, if you have a small lung nodule, it would also be every year, and they would look at the nodule to make sure it's stable and not growing. And if the nodule is a little bit bigger, they might do an earlier follow-up, such as like a 3 or 6 month CT scan again. And if it's even larger, they would do a more advanced imaging test, which is a PET CT. And it specifically looks for cancer cells. And if it's even larger, they would just go right ahead and do a biopsy.
Okay. Now, how would a patient know when they're supposed to be getting their screening?
Okay, so well, they should definitely speak with their primary care physician, and if they fit into the category of the age and the smoking history, then they qualify for the study. Now, once the patient does have the study, they'll receive a letter in the mail that says what the findings of the study are and when they should return for follow-up. Their doctor will also receive the same letter and a report that documents that, so they can coordinate with the scheduler who schedules the imaging test with their doctor and there'll be multiple people in the know of when they should follow up.
Okay, perfect. Now, you talk a lot about nodules and what they're made of. So if a nodule is found initially, the next step then would be to have it diagnosed, or?
Right. So if the nodule is small enough, the patient can just follow up in 1 year again.
Okay.
So just making sure that it's stable. But if it's larger than, say, if it's larger than 6 millimeters, they might need to do a 3-month scan.
Okay.
Because it's more worrisome, so you'd want to watch it closer because it's more likely to be cancer. And then once it gets to like 8 millimeters or 1 centimeter, then it's seriously worrisome, and it's going to either need a biopsy or that imaging test which looks for cancer cells, the PET CT.
The PET CT. Okay, great. Now, is it only smokers who should have regular lung cancer screenings, or what are some of the other risk factors other than the 30-pack and things like that? Are there some other ones?
Right, there are other risk factors for developing lung cancer, but again, like we said, it's for smokers and former smokers.
Okay.
But outside of smoking, there's other environmental causes for lung cancer, such as pollution from living in a city, say.
Okay.
Some studies have shown that living in a really polluted city, New York City, say 20 years ago, with a lot of smog, or maybe a large Chinese city where there's a lot of coal in the air, coal fuels, is just as bad as smoking a pack a day. Now, so those patients would also be at risk for lung cancer. However, the test is really not meant for them, and the studies that were done showing how accurate the test is and how helpful the test is weren't done on those patient groups, really only on smokers. Okay. So if you do have a history of other risk factors for lung cancer, those environmental factors, maybe some occupational exposure, say if you were a fireman, or asbestos exposure if you worked in a shipyard, then even though you don't qualify for the study, you could speak to your doctor and say that you're concerned about lung cancer nonetheless, and maybe you could get this test, and if your insurance doesn't cover it, just pay out of pocket.
Okay, all right, great. Now, with the onset of the legalization of smoking marijuana, and also vaping and things like that, how does that differ from regular cigarette smoking in affecting the lungs?
Right, and that's an interesting question. There's not a lot of long-term data on either vaping or marijuana in large populations yet. Now, the most recent studies on marijuana show that smoking marijuana, I'm not talking about vaping it, but just smoking it, does increase your risk for lung cancer, although older studies would disagree with that. But the newest studies say it increases a little bit, and I don't think there's enough data yet to say how much does it increase it, or if it increases it more or less than cigarette smoking.
Right.
I have a feeling that over the long term it probably is less than cigarette smoking, less of a risk factor.
Right.
But we'll see. As far as vaping goes, again, not a lot of long-term data. Vaping is relatively new, and the population studies that have been done are relatively small, but the chemicals in vaping include formaldehyde, heavy metals, and other chemicals in the flavoring, so those could also potentially cause lung cancer.
Right.
How much? I think the long-term studies will have to show that. The jury is out.
Right.
But it's probably, again, less than cigarette smoking, than traditional cigarette smoking.
Well, because you probably don't have, like you said, not the same ingredients, right? I mean, you've got nicotine and a variety of other things in a cigarette as opposed to vaping or even marijuana, because you don't have all the same things.
Exactly. There's a lot more carcinogens in cigarette smoke than there are in the vaping, but there are still some in vaping, and some in vaping that aren't in the cigarettes, like the plastics and the metals that are in the material of the vape itself.
Even the formaldehyde. I mean, there's formaldehyde in food and
that's true.
And other types of medications. And so, I mean, anytime you're going to pollute your body with something like that, you could have risk of probably getting anything.
Very true.
Right.
Very true.
And also, you mentioned that just possibly living in a city that has lots of cars and coal and things like that could also. And the other thing that you said that was kind of interesting is that firemen, because I always wonder, smelling a lot of that smoke, and when they're just, I mean, I know they have protective gear on, but often, especially with 9/11, there was a lot of problems with the first responders.
Right. There were untold chemicals that were thrown up into the air when the Twin Towers collapsed, and those have caused many respiratory problems in the firefighters. Right. Other than not just cancer, but I think the long-term studies will probably show they have an increased risk of cancer as well.
Right, right. Yeah. Oh gosh, a lot of things to think about for sure. Any last few words here you'd like to tell everybody of some of the things they should be looking out for?
Well, other than if you have a high risk for lung cancer and you've smoked a lot, you should get this study. But all of the other screening tests that we should all get, for women, mammograms; for men, testicular self-screening.
Right.
breast self-screening for women as well, not just mammograms. And then when you're age appropriate, colon cancer screening with colonoscopy as well.
Right, and RadNet can provide all of that.
Correct.
Perfect. Thank you very much for being with us.
You're welcome.
And thank you for joining us.
Hi, I'm John Bowser-Bauman. You probably know me best as Bowser from Sha-Na-Na, but I'm also president of Social Security Works PAC. And you know, when I'm in Laguna Woods, I always watch Village Television. Grease for peace.
From the Village Library, and this time you're going to be talking about something new that people can take advantage of, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's unusual, and I've been on a couple times in the last 2 months talking about the fact that we are extending our hours into Wednesday evening,
which is great. How's it been going? You've been getting people?
We've been averaging about 10, but I'm happy that they're all of them. People who have come in have been really appreciative, so I'm hoping to expand it. But because we normally have 80 people come in on a shift, I wasn't really busy, so I started looking into the application and what's there, and I saw this feature, Reserve Express it's called, so we're going to try it out. And what it is will allow people to identify their favorite authors, and then when that author comes out with a new book, it will automatically reserve it for them.
So even if you don't have the book yet, it's kind of like, in a way, it reminds me of you order something on Amazon and maybe it says out of stock or something, we'll notify you when it's ready. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, or sometimes they'll send you an email and they'll say, oh, you've purchased from this author before and they have a new book, and then you find out it's a year from now. Well, now you can go onto our system, and if it's one of the ones we've selected, and select that person's name, you can forget it. And when that book comes out, you'll get put on the reserve list, and when your turn is up, you'll get automatically notified that it's ready for you to pick up.
Very nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, will that be something that the application does, or you folks at the library will contact the person? You'll get a list? Or...
when it's the reserve's actually ready for them, just like today, if they have an email address in our system, the system will email them to say their reserve is ready. If they don't, then we call them.
All right.
But yes, so the big thing is making sure that people go on and identify their favorite authors. So the first thing that you would do is log into your catalog account and select up at the top, My Account, and then it'll bring up your name. So here, this is a training account that we've set up, hold for processing training.
Yes.
But it would normally be welcome in your name.
Yeah.
So then the next thing you would do is select under that arrow reserve request, and then this screen comes up, and there's a couple options for reserves or requesting books. And the first one there now says receive new books because we churned this on. So if you have a favorite author, arrange to receive new books by the selected authors automatically. So you pick that, receive new books, and it'll come up. And here's a partial list of the authors that we've selected already. So I had pulled a list out of the system of all the books that were checked out this year. And I calculated what were the most popular authors that people actually checked out. And the top 15, I think, I selected. So like Patterson and Danielle Steele and Grisham, Stuart Woods, the perennial favorites of our residents here. Then also, our book buying committee is meeting next week, next Friday, and we get a look ahead, booking ahead it's called, of what books are coming out in the next couple months. And and then the book committee decides. So we know who the favorites are. But for example, Lee Child, Louise Penny, J.D. Robb are coming out with new books in the next couple months. And they're favorites of our people. So I've selected those names. and they will
Okay.
show up in this list. So now if people log into their account, go down and pick one of these authors, it'll get highlighted and it'll be darker. And then when those books get added into the catalog, they'll automatically get put on the reserve list.
Okay, now how will it work? Let's say there's 5 people wanting a certain book they're coming out. First come, first serve, basically?
No, actually it's random.
Okay.
We even tested this out yesterday. So if 5 people go on today and pick the Louise Penny as their favorite author, when her book comes out, it'll randomly assign those people to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
And then next time, if there's another author, it'll be a different random pattern.
That's good to know.
Yeah, so some people might, maybe they're really good at watching the catalog and jumping on fast, but
yeah. But I think this is really good. You know,
Yes.
It's interesting. Some of those authors I didn't even know were still writing books.
Yeah, right. Well, and that's one of the things that the application says. Don't bother selecting an author that's no longer alive because they won't have any new books coming out.
Right. Well, I've looked at that
But, yeah.
list. I didn't know, I don't really follow it. Like, I didn't know, is John Grissom still alive and Danielle Steele?
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely. And oh my gosh, Danielle Steele, she comes out, it seems like every 6 months she's got a new book.
Wow.
Yeah. Some of them, they only have one a year, like John Sanford or
Right.
Daniel Silva.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I thought they were.
Yeah.
Sorry to the authors. I didn't,
One of the other things that people might be concerned about is that we have a limit. You can only reserve 3 things at a time.
Okay.
But since this is automatic, it overrides that. So you might actually wind up with 5 reserves on your list. If you already had 3 reserves, it'll still let this happen and be on your reserve list.
So you can have up to 5?
Well, no, it'll be whatever. But hopefully we won't have like 5 favorite authors all in the same month. So because people can't read that fast.
Yeah. All right. I think that's fantastic. Very good.
I think people will really once we get them on board, they'll be happy. They won't have to think about it. The other thing is, if your favorite author is not on our list, just let them know at the front desk. We already have a form ready. You can fill it out, and we'll be happy to add that author.
Okay, they
to
can
our
reserve
list.
that way as well?
They can always go on reserve the normal way.
Okay, all right.
But we would be happy to add their author as a favorite.
Okay, all right, very good. Well, thank you very much. That's great that people can do that.
Yes.
And check out the library. Go over and just kind of acquaint yourself if you haven't been there before. They have a lot to offer besides books and DVDs and magazines and puzzles and all kinds of different things.
Yes, we love it.
Yes. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Kim.
Yeah, very good. I like this.
Yeah.
I'm glad the Wednesdays are going good. We'll be back. Yeah, man.
At Diane's Hallmark, we're ready for Valentine's Day. Are you? Come in and see our great selection of cards and gifts. We have everything you need to show that special someone how much you care. And don't forget those grandkids either. Diane's Hallmark has many gifts and cards for them as well. Diane's Hallmark is located in the town center, right next to Hobby Lobby. Come in today and take care of all of your Valentine's Day needs.
Our movie coming up today at 2 o'clock and at 6 o'clock is called The Catcher Was a Spy, and this is based on a true story. It's a war drama that takes place during World War II, and the baseball player, Mo Berg, a former catcher who speaks 9 languages, is recruited by the Office of Security Services during World War II to go after a German scientist's plans to assemble an atomic bomb for the Nazis. Very good movie. A lot of intrigue in this, and excellent cast. Paul Rudd plays the main character. Mark Strachan is in this, Sienna Miller, Jeff Daniels, Guy Pearce, and Paul Giamatti. This is an excellent movie. I think you'll really enjoy this. Came out last year. It's rated R primarily for language and situations. Not a real long movie. It's an hour and 38 minutes. So again, at 2 o'clock with captions, 6 p.m. without. The Catcher Was a Spy. Really good movie. Now, we got some good weather coming for you today, but we got a little more rain coming in the forecast. Now, looking at the way it is today, a little bit of clouds in the morning, but then it's going to give way to just a beautiful day, much like we had yesterday, a couple degrees cooler. So probably 72, 73 today. And then as we go forward each day, it'll go down by a degree or two, but then it dips down on Thursday. Thursday, we have a chance of morning rain, about a 30% chance, and that will happen anytime overnight Wednesday into Thursday, probably by noon, and then it'll start to clear up a little bit. Now, as we get to Friday, though, mostly cloudy skies, and this is the storm that's going to be coming in. This is could be a decent-sized storm like we had a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and that's looking like it'll come in late Friday night. I can't tell you exactly when, but the bulk of the rain will be happening Saturday and then probably Sunday into Sunday morning. So as far as what time on Friday night, it could even be 11 o'clock or after midnight, but do expect more rain on the way at the end of this week. Here we are, just beautiful temps throughout the area today, absolutely gorgeous. Beaches will average about 70 degrees everywhere else in the mid to low 70s. Even up there in Big Bear, about 59 degrees. Palm Springs going back to hitting the 80s, which is normal for them this time of the year. So just beautiful, beautiful weather. I do want to remind you, as I said earlier, you probably heard the Midwest is bracing for just a huge winter storm coming in. So if you're going anywhere back there this week, have travel plans, please keep on top of those. And you can sign up from the airlines for alerts and things like that as to if there's going to be changes or cancellations. So keep that in mind. Even the Southeast is getting hit pretty hard. I think they had, I know Central Florida, or those areas even had a bit of a tornado yesterday. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. We're going to bring you a segment from home, also Harvard Eye. And then I saw that added on as well is the India Club. So we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.